Guys, I just wanted to tell you a quick story. I remember one time I was laying down. There was a camp that I went to when I was an early teenager, a late teenager, and into my early 20s. And it was a camp to uh, find God. It was a Christian discipleship program. And I went to that discipleship program, and I was laying down on the floor one day praying in my own it's like a little cabin. But I just wanted to share this story with you. I was laying down on the cabin floor, and it was a beautiful, beautiful spring day. It was gorgeous outside. Everything was just illuminated. Everything was spectacular and beautiful. And when I was laying down and praying, and I just rolled over at one point, and there wasn't much furniture in the room. In fact, the room that I was in was empty, and the bed was in the other room. There was nothing else in the room. As I was laying on this floor, I rolled over, and the door was open, and I could see outside, and out the door frame of the room, I saw this beautiful oak tree that had the sun shining behind it, and it was illuminating the leaves to a fluorescent green color, and it was dancing in the wind, and the door frame kind of made it like a picture frame. And I was looking at this oak tree and just marveling, looking at it. It looked so fulfilled with life, and so vibrant and joyful and dancing around. And then the Lord spoke to me and said, observe the frame. And so I started looking at the doorway encompassing this seemingly alive picture of God's beauty and creation. And then I noticed the frame, the doorway and the sheetrock and the studs that held the building up. And, I noticed how all of that was not living. I noticed how all that was not alive. I noticed everything in the building was nothing spectacular. The building was beautiful, but just plain and ordinary. And it's kind of amazing, because we sometimes as humans, we look upon the buildings and the creations that we make, and we think, wow, look what we have done. But when the Lord told me to observe the frame, and I started observing the wood, how it was lifeless, the sheetrock, how it was just ground up gypsum powder to be made into a gypsum slab of sheetrock, and how the nails that held all the wood together were inanimate. They were not living, but in a solid state, just a hunk of metal that was pulled up out of the ground. And the Lord revealed to me right then and there that everything that He creates is living, and everything that man creates is not living. But yet we look at the BMWs and the Mercedes, and we look at all these creations that man has made, and we give them so much glory, and we give them so much honor, and we lust after these things. But the BMW, the Mercedes, the Lamborghini, whatever you want, it's just a hunk of metal brought up out of the ground, formed and shaped to be shiny. Formed and shaped. Has no value, literally no value to eternity, to the kingdom. But everything that God makes is alive and vibrant and living and teeming with life. The fish in the sea, the trees, the grass on the ground, everything is living and reproduces. It is teeming with life. And we're not to worship creation, but shouldn't we thank God for the beauty that He has made above and beyond what man has made? The things that man makes literally have no value in God's eyes. No value. Not a single ounce of value in God's eyes. But we start wars and we fight over these things, and we lust over these things, and we get jealous over these things of what our neighbor has. But when you look from eternal perspective, when God showed me that picture frame that day of the doorway surrounding that bright, vibrant oak tree that seemed to fluoresce under the sun's rays, it seemed so alive. I knew right then and there that God was teaching me what's important and what's not important. To honor the things that are important, and to not show honor to the things that man makes. Those are the non-important things. And I just want to leave you with that. There's more that I want to say. There's more that I'm thinking about. But I just want to leave you with that, to think about that. Go throughout your day-to-day and try to realize and ask yourself, what is really important? Are my material possessions that important to scream and yell at my kid if he breaks one of them? To get so jealous over my neighbor that has the new house that I put pressure on my husband to go out there and earn more money, spending more time away from you, the wife and kids? Are they really that important, or are they not so important? You know, is it really that important to steal something from somebody else because they have something that you don't? Is it really that important to hate somebody in your heart because they have money, because they're part of the 1%? Their 1% doesn't mean jack squat to God. It means nothing to God. 1% is nothing to the Lord. So is it worth hating another human that bears the image of God Almighty, to hate them because they have more money than you do? This is not anything about the 99 and the 1%. Has nothing to do with that. But I just want you to check in your heart and find out really ask yourself, what is important in this world when all else is stripped away? If our country fell today and there was no internet, there was no buying and selling, what would actually be important? Would those around you that form your family, would those things be important? Would the relationships that you have nourished between your friends, would those be important? Would friends be important if all else was stripped away? Or would the Mercedes be important that you have? Or maybe the 4x4 truck, is that important? What really is important when you think about other things being taken away and you having nothing? What are you left with? Maybe your relationship with God. Maybe your relationship with your family, your friends. Maybe food is important. Maybe all the other things you thought were important are not so important. I'll leave you that with food for thought.